Well, greetings YouTube viewers, and welcome now to the second movie I'm reviewing for the 2012 movie blockbuster season, however you want to call it. And that, of course, is Battleship, the we want to be Transformers, but we don't want to pay Michael Bay. Really, that's what this movie is. I mean, down to the sound effects, the design of the aliens, down to the fact that they decided to take a Hasbro property to turn into this. It's a mess. The film's a mess. And to get an idea of the script, the intellectual level that they're looking for, the end of the movie, the movie's obviously very, I don't want to use the word pro-military. It's very supportive of the military, and I don't disagree with that. I joined the military myself for a very short time. Unfortunately, got a medical discharge in basic, so, but obviously not against. But they end it right after this big triumphant note with Fortunate Son, an anti-military Vietnam protest song. And of course, most people aren't going to get that. At least the people that are probably going to go see the movie aren't going to go, why are you playing this film with that ending? Or this song with that ending? No, it doesn't go together. I listen to lyrics. They say bad things about these people. Does not connect. It's like playing American Woman. They could have ended it with American Woman, because hey, it's got America in it. Therefore, it has to be pro-American. It's certainly not talking about America doing bad things to other countries. Oh wait a minute, it is. Basically, Fortunate Son's basically implying the only people in the military are ones too stupid not to get in, not to get sucked in. I mean, technically that's how our main character does. His brother basically forces him to join the Navy. Way to go. How he got into the Navy is another question. I guess I should start with the opening scene, which it feels so detracted from the rest of the movie. It doesn't fit stylistically or anything else. Yeah, he's in a bar for his birthday. It's implied he doesn't have a job. I'm not sure if he's supposed to be college educated, because he's talking about getting a construction job, but it's implied later on that he's very well read and very learned. I don't know. But you got Taylor Kitsch, Gambit, or actually John Carter. Ironically, he was in a good movie. He starred in a good movie, John Carter, which nobody went to see. And he'll probably make money from this movie, but it's bad. Poor Taylor Kitsch. Can't get a break. Be known for your bad movies, and your good movies should be forgotten. Anyways, his brother Alexander Skarsgård there. Basically, they're drinking. The line delivery in this opening scene is so bad. I mean, I would try to requote it, but it was so bad I could not actually recreate the lines that they were saying. It was just horribly written. It was as if Bruno Mattei had directed the opening scene, not knowing any English, and once again forcing actors to just pronounce scripts that were translated extremely poorly. That's the best way I can put it. He decides he sees a hot girl who, for whatever reason, this bar heats up burritos in a microwave, and she wants one. She's pissed off that they're not making her burrito. Go to an actual fucking restaurant. It's implied they're right outside of Pearl Harbor. I guarantee you there's some fucking 24-hour places around there that's gonna serve better food than this crappy looking bar. Who goes to a bar demanding a chicken burrito? They could have had this take place in a fucking diner. But no, we need to have them in a bar, like men. You could have had them having their after bar coffee in the fucking diner across the street. Of course, that wouldn't make sense, because what diner doesn't serve a fucking burrito? Anyway, so his way is to get this woman. As he goes over, he goes, I'll give you 5 minutes, I'll get you a burrito. He runs across to the Quickie place, Quickie Mart, whatever, across the street. They're closed. So he gets the bright idea, and it shows this from surveillance cameras, that he breaks in through the ceiling, breaking the ceiling, And they play the Pink Panther music, mind you, while this is all going on. So you got do 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 do, and this is like part of the thing is what I'm saying. This entire opening scene feels like what? This is a different movie. It's a different bad movie. It's not even like this is a good movie and then all of a sudden it becomes a bad movie. No, it's like you gave me a different bad movie. You gave me this weird, bad romantic comedy mixed in with my bad sci-fi film. Blah! Anyway, he breaks in, wrecking the ceiling. Gets his burrito, of course, puts the $3 down to pay for the burrito. Tries to climb back up the ceiling. That doesn't fail. Next, we cut back to his brother looking outside and seeing his Taylor Kitsch running out of the place drunk and getting tased by the police. And it shows him the next morning waking up. He's yelling at him going, no matter what, things are changing. You're joining the Navy. I'm pretty sure he just committed a major felon there. But it's breaking and entering. Damage to private property. I mean, I think it was supposed to take place in 2005. So I understand that back then they were a little bit more easier to get in, but I don't think you could get the waiver. I mean, his brother apparently was of rank, but man, that is a tough one to get a waiver for. Especially, like, you're going to get a waiver for something you just committed. I mean, when I was going to the recruitment stations for the Army, which, by the way, always has a reputation for being much more lenient with getting people in, you had anything approaching a felony record, they would say absolutely not. I mean, at least that was my MEPS region, was like that. I don't know, maybe Hawaii is desperately behind quota. But not only did he get in, he wound up going officer within 5 years, which, alright, if you're college educated and you're in the Army, that's very easy to do. It's not that hard. Just because of the turnover in the Army and the fact that it's so huge. But in the Navy, that's quite an accomplishment. Like, really hard accomplishment. Well, let's get into some of the other stuff here. Alright, so they go out. Of course, there's no surprises in this film. Every time they try to introduce something, you know how it's going to turn out. They introduce a rivalry with the Japanese, because we can't make this a purely American movie. No, if we include just one other nation, all of a sudden every other country will be like, oh, it's not just pro-American, even though the Americans are doing most of the stuff, and it's really this is here's the token foreign people to make it all right. So everyone else in the world can be like, oh, there's Japanese people in here too. So it's an international group. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure in Japan it goes over well that they've got one of the main characters is a Japanese captain, but they started off with a soccer game here. And there's like he gets fucking kicked in the face with like a flying kick. And they call, he pretty blatant, gets the call, decides, again, they're trying to, how should I put this? Taylor Kitsch's character is supposed to be like, I'm a rebel. Like this rebellious, doesn't want to follow anyone's rules, headstrong. How he got to a fucking lieutenant's rank with that, I'm not sure. Unless, he would have went in as an ensign. So, I am still wondering on that one. But, he gets this, he tries to make the shot, he completely misses it, and, the Japanese win. And it sets up a rivalry later on between him and the Japanese captain. Who's apparently like a commanding officer level captain. They normally don't play in soccer games. Maybe they do in the Navy. I don't know, but with the enlisted people and would a captain really be mixed in there like that? I don't know. It seemed off. But anyway, they're setting up this rivalry only so they can go, I've learned to respect you later on. you expect it. And later on, of course, they had the scene where they kind of get to know, oh, really? You have something in common. I like you. I respect you now. I respect you too. Aww. So that was foreseen. By the way, I'm going to have spoiler warnings for this thing. Just so you know. Just so you don't complain. Because I got to talk to you about the other thing that's going to spoil it. I want to talk about stuff that you can just predict. Had no tension. Alright, they attack the enemy's battleship that is having this big fucking dome force field covering like all of the Hawaiian Islands and keeping the rest of the fleet out. We'll get into a little bit of this later. So the rest of the fleet is stuck outside of the Hawaiian Islands, and there's just a couple destroyers left. Well, they take down the ship enough that the field is down. So, of course, Liam Neeson scrambles the fighters, and then they cut back, and oh my god, part of the ship is still active. They're going to fire on us. Shoots the death things that are taking forever to land. He does his little, it's been an honor to serve with you today. It's been an honor to serve with you type thing. And as soon as they say that, oh, well, I might as well compliment you before I die. All of a sudden, oh, no, that guy's not going to, that guy, they're both going to live. No problems there. That's going to get intercepted by the fleet. Things still come on. The little death balls are still falling down. You're still looking at it like, nope. It's going to get intercepted by the fleet. Come on. Shoot him down already. We know it's coming. Cut back again. Cut back to the balls of death. And right before they come down, like clockwork, the F-18s show up and shoot the things. No tension. It was supposed to be a tense scene. None at all. Because, one, we showed it. They showed that the fleet was that. Force field was down, and the fleet realized that, and they were sending all their forces in. So you knew that was coming. But the big kicker in this one, and I'm not doing a scene-by-scene run-through of this movie, because I've got to talk about this right now. The most ridiculous and stupid thing in this entire movie. Now, in the previews, they showed an Iowa-class battleship firing and all that stuff. And I held back and was just like, how are they working that? My running assumption, was they were just going to ignore the fact that the Iowas were retired and we're going to run with, well, in our version, the Iowa-class battleships were kept in service for all these years. And, okay, I could kind of see you doing that. It was still stupid, but it's within the realm of possibility. It would, I guess, make some sense. No, they keep the fleet how it is. But since all the destroyers are destroyed, and luckily the last destroyer that after taking out, of course in the battleship scene, well, we'll get into that later. This is probably going to be a long review, by the way. They take, their ship gets destroyed after taking out an enemy vessel. And well, they're like, well, we have nothing left. No, there's one ship left. And luckily they got sunk literally right next to the island. Apparently not too far from Pearl Harbor either. It's the fucking Missouri. They decide, with a skeleton crew, that they're going to make the battleship Missouri seaworthy again and take it into fucking battle. No! I can't describe in how many ways this thing is almost fucking impossible to do. And they do this all in one day. Oh, but it's alright. They make it believable because they got about a dozen old World War II vets to come and help them out, who were serving on the ship, like as custodians. No, not even with them. And you got a bunch of like 70-year-old guys who can barely walk, are supposed to be running around this battleship that has no automatic gear, and they're going to take this thing into fucking battle. No! First off, I can't describe you in how many ways a fucking museum ship is a dead fucking weight of just metal with can't do jack shit. Now, I spent a weekend on the Battleship, Massachusetts, which is another Iowa class. And recalling from that, that thing was shut down so thoroughly. I mean, not only were the engines shut down, the engines could not work on that thing. I'm assuming the Missouri was kept in a similar state. But gear, it's painted over to the point where most of the gears can't move. I mean, if you wanted to bring one of these suckers out of retirement, just for minimum, it takes a couple months. Just because the gear is so stuck up for having not moved and for being painted over. A lot of the stuff was painted over to preserve it. So all of a sudden you got a lot of problems, a lot of tiny little problems happening that would take months with a full crew to get this thing even seaworthy. To get the engines running. That's assuming the parts are actually all there and connected. Because I can guarantee a lot of them probably aren't. A lot of them were fucking moved around. I guarantee the engine room stuff was moved around to show you like how the gears work. Not only mentioned the power plants, so much of these ships have been gutted. Their working conditions have been just gutted. They don't have a working fire control system. No, they don't. I can guarantee you the Missouri does not have an actual working fire control system. The connections and the gears between the fire control box and the turrets, I guarantee you have been dismantled at some point. And for good reason. And not only that, the ship has live rounds, enough for them to do several volleys. No. I guarantee you will be lucky if on that vessel there are 1 or 2 rounds of ammunition, and I guarantee you they're not live. Their fuses have been removed. So where the hell are they getting this ammunition from? I mean, there's no ammo you can use on one of these ships. If they have the ammo there, they don't keep it live, just in case something happens. I mean, think about it. You have it set up where a ship with a fucking 16-inch gun, and if you notice where they put the Iowas, they're all in major cities. You really think they can have a gun like that where just a dozen people can go on board the ship and within an hour or two have a 16-inch cannon ready to fire on the You can kill thousands of people in a major city with that thing. All you have to do is aim it at a fucking building, and if you think the planes in 9/11 did some damage, those things weren't designed to explode. A fucking 16-inch shell? Yeah. That's of course assuming you could get a shell that old that actually would detonate. I mean, the fuses probably don't work on something like that. They even had the fucking powder. A lot of they actually showed this, but you actually have to put the powder charges behind the rounds. Why is there still fucking gunpowder on board this vessel? What if something catches fire? No, this stuff's removed. It was long removed. So it's just mind-boggling. I mean, hell, the engines. Not only that, not only the engines, but when you have a ship that just sits there for long periods of time, the soot underneath the ship builds up to the point where it's normally stuck in there. When they had to move the was it the Enterprise? I think so. The one in New York, the aircraft carrier. They had to dredge all the water around and underneath that thing. And in fact, they failed the first time they tried it, just to get that thing out of the harbor. Not to mention, this is a massive warship that's put in a position where it really wasn't ever intended to get out. You're going to need some tugboats. So I hope I made my point. Is how fucking impossible it is to get a fucking 70-year-old battleship that required back in its day over 1,000 people to run out of a 30-year retirement, 20-year retirement. I forget how long it's been in there. And in a fighting condition in literally a matter of hours. Because basically this entire movie takes place in a couple days. So they were there for like 3 hours and got the ship up and running in 3 hours. No. I don't think you can even get a modern destroyer up and running in 3 hours if it was just sitting in cold storage. And you have a crew that's been half wiped out, exhausted from fighting all day, and like a dozen, maybe a little more, old 70-year-olds. Bullshit! My suspension of disbelief has not only been broken, it was taken out back, raped with a barbed wire covered baseball bat, and its corpse, after it bled to death from said incident, was then pissed on. I hope I make my point with that. Now, before that, actually, I cannot fault. If this was any other movie, I'd call bullshit on this, but they actually have a scene set up where they have to have a grid system, and they figure out. This is another thing I'll have to talk about in a second, but they figure out how to track the aliens who they can't are stealthed. Which, by the way, actually, before I get into that, I must talk about this. The stupidest scene, they see the big alien antennas kind of sticking out of the water, and like, it's not showing up on radar. This is impossible. But I see it in front of me. It's not showing up on radar, though. No! It's called stealth. We've had it now for 30 years. It's not new. It's been publicly known for 20 years. Over. We've built stealth ships. There are not that many because the advantages of the stealth have not been that great, but they keep on going for a while about how this is impossible. There's a big structure there. Nobody goes this with the assumption, why would they make a stealth platform? Like, that's all you had to add line-wise. This is, again, one of those incidents where if they just had it one line, maybe two, acknowledging it, it wouldn't have been an issue. Like, oh, it's not stealth. How is that? It's not showing up on radar. They must be stealth. Why would you create a structure like that out of RAM or something along those lines? This is all you had to add. Instead, you have the characters looking like idiots, like they can't figure out radar, but radar knows all. You can fool radar. Dar. Even though Russia has a stealth plane, China is about to deploy their first stealth fighters. A couple of other countries are developing their own stealth fighters independently. What's the count on the F-35 once it gets deployed? How many countries are going to take that over and they all have stealth fighters? So the technology is not exactly, exclusive anymore. And like I said, we have a stealth ship. I think the Swedish Navy has a ship that's basically stealth. And these are supposedly Navy officers. Go figure. So what part? Ah, damn it. Now I forget. Oh, yes. So the battleship scene. So they lay it out, and the Japanese said, we figured out a thing with the Americans. It's a contingency plan. We tap into your buoy system that tracks tsunami waves and stuff, and we can detect your displacement. Why? First off, would the Japanese be so concerned? This, again, seems to only work if you can't use radar. I'm pretty sure the Japanese have radar. And again, it's not that useful. One, I don't know. Well, here's the other thing. There's a major plot hole in this scene. So they tap into this buoy system, so everything's laid out in a grid, and when they detect something moving in that area, they fire on it. They guess they had the military advisors saying, fire at B-29, it's Bravo 29, India 14, they actually use the alphanumerics that you would use in the military. Which I guess kind of destroys it from making it a direct battleship scene, because you want to hear them say A-36, it's a hit. Instead, they do the Alpha 36. I guess I would be complaining if they had done the opposite. If they had done what I just, done the A-12, miss, hit. But, hey. Now, I can't complain with this scene. You're building this movie around Battleship. This is fucking Battleship. I can't complain at all that this scene's in here. If it wasn't in this movie, it would be a travesty. And I would say any reviewer that complains about having this scene in here, they're not even nitpicking. They're going beyond the whole point of the fucking movie. The whole point of doing a Battleship movie is to have a fucking scene like this. So I'm preemptively saying that if you see a reviewer out there calling bullshit to this, smack them upside the head. This is the entire point of the movie. Saying it could have done better, that's a different story. Saying it was stupid to have it, no. That's like having an X-Men movie and complaining how stupid it is for people to have mutant powers. What the fuck's wrong with you then? I just say that because I guarantee you someone's going to be out there and have that problem. Shit, this is going to go on for a long time. Well, how about this? This will be part 1 of the review, just to make things more handleable. I don't think that's a real word I just used. Stay tuned for part 2 if you want to watch it. I think you've got the impression that I don't like this movie. I could make this one long review, but actually, you know what? The time to stop it would have been like 10 minutes ago. We might as well just go full throttle. Actually, no, I will make this a 2-parter. So tune in for part 2 if you want to continue. It's on my page. Click it. If you don't, well, I don't.